concealed weapon for self-defense. What are your thoughts on soldiers carrying concealed weapons on base?
You're not allowed to carry concealed weapons on
Do you
base.
think that should change?
No, I don't think soldiers should have concealed weapons on base. We have law enforcement agents. We're trained professionals, and I don't endorse carrying concealed weapons on base.
All right, folks, there you go. As politically correct as it gets, the Lieutenant General, who was the spokesman at Fort Hood in the aftermath of the shooting 2 days ago. And joining us right now is Texas Congressman Steve Stockman, who was the man who tried to get through, the author of the failed 2013 Safe Military Bases Act, which would certainly permit our brave men and women to carry weapons on base. And Congressman, welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. And you and I were talking off air about how crazy this is that we expect soldiers to risk their life to save our nation, but we don't want them to save themselves. This is just idiocy, but it was put in place and reinforced by two presidents who are anti-gun, and that would be Bill Clinton and Obama, who reaffirmed it in 2011.
Why do you think the bill failed? I mean, it failed, if I'm not mistaken, in 2013. I mean, why didn't Boehner bring it to the floor for a vote?
Well, I think what happens is that is controversial votes like this, they get nervous. As they get nervous on some of the other things, and they decided to take a walk rather than confront a serious issue, which is making and creating soft targets by eliminating guns. Almost all these mass shootings are related to a place or a location which bans guns, and the criminal knows, or the insane person knows, hey, I can go on a base or a school and shoot somebody because I know they don't have guns. Now, I'll tell you something. If you just walk a few feet out base, a soldier can have a gun, because in Texas you can have a gun. So he can protect himself until he gets on base. And it's just really a stupid law.
Oh, it's a stupid law, all right. What's the prospects for this coming to the floor in the wake of this most recent shooting?
Well, if you listeners pick up the phone and call their congressman, encourage them to get on 3199, we have a chance. It's this, the way our system works is that we represent you, and if we don't hear from your voice, then we don't represent you. Now, some members choose not to listen even if you call, but still it's an important factor to make your voice heard and to cry out loud, Facebook it, tweet it, whatever you do, email it, promote 3199, and I think Gun Owners of America actually has the bill. Also, our site has the bill.
No, well, that's very important. You know, I had the former Staff Sergeant Alonzo Lunsford, now retired, on the show, and he was talking about the fact that he was shot 7 times by Nidal Hassan in an act of jihad, and I want to talk about that classification in a second, but he is extremely in support of carrying a weapon on base, and he said it may not have prevented him from getting shot in 2009, but he said, I'll tell you one thing, he might have shot me, but I would have sent him to meet his virgins during, after his jihad was over. I would have shot him and killed him. So I think that's very, very telling.
Yeah, and I don't understand the general that's being so paternalistic, saying, no, we have these gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen who are sacrificing, and I might add, volunteering to defend our nation. But we're saying you're so smart to defend our nation, but you're not smart enough to defend yourself. This is stupid. They're trained in weapons. They know the guns. And I just talked to a gentleman who's served in Afghanistan. He has a style all times. So we can do it overseas for some reason. The president and Clinton, because they're anti-gun, have a right to issue an executive order. And I might add, too, a lot of these generals that are giving those answers, the commander-in-chief is their boss, so they're following in line. If they're active duty, they're following in line and giving the party line. Oh,
I just saw a story, Congressman, where the heads of all the branches, we're in a White House meeting, and one of them actually went on record and said, basically all I could say is we were told that if you don't like my policies, get out. as it relates to gays and feminizing the military, etc. And that's very unfortunate. We've seen record numbers of officers relieved of duty for all kinds of alleged reasons, and generals, and it's a very frightening time, because I think this is all going on under the radar.
Yeah, and this is a president who's acting more and more like a dictatorial leader instead of one that's relying on the Congress, the Senate.
Absolutely.
And these kind of policies are dangerous, and they're leading and planting the seeds, I might add, for next presidents that come down the road that they're going to have to deal with, because he voted absent whenever he was, a lot of times when he was in the Illinois Senate.
Actually present. I don't mean to correct you. Present.
Yeah, that's right.
He might as well have voted absent, but it was I think it was present.
You're right. Absent in thought, present in physical being
right.
there.
Now, let me ask you, before I let you go, about this classification, because something else I've discussed over the many years, and specifically with Alonzo Lunsford before, was these people are really getting shafted by this government, this administration, who insists on calling officially the Hassan shooting case of workplace violence instead of terrorism.
Yeah.
But even though the president alluded to it not that long ago, I don't have the date in front of me, but I played the soundbite at the time when talking about terror in this country and terrorism in general. I think it was his speech on terrorism last year. He mentioned Fort Hood, and I was saying, wait a minute, he's mentioning Fort Hood, but he still classifies it as like a post office worker going crazy. So these people are losing money, benefits, recognition. They're suffering tremendously. Can this change?
This president has consistently sided with the radicals, I think, even in overseas. He sided with Morsi and everything. So it's that goes there, and I don't know, a lot of times they say, walks like a duck and talks like a duck, and him not calling that is guaranteed. If it was a Christian doing it, he would have called it a terrorist act. But I just don't understand it. It's baffling to me, and these are our men and women who voluntarily offer their lives up to defend our nation, and this guy can't even recognize a terrorist act when he's yelling out Akbar and things like that. It's bizarre.
It really is bizarre. Congressman, thank you very much. Keep the good work up, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for making time for us today.
Well, thanks, and thanks for supporting $31.99. Our soldiers need it.
$31.99. I'll give the phone number out right now. Thank you, Congressman.
All right, thanks.
Congressman Steve Stockman, ladies and gentlemen, Republican from Texas. And that number is that if you want to call your congressperson, this is anybody all over the country, or your senator, the Capitol switchboard, to the best of my recollection, is 202-224-3121 and or 202-225-3121. I'll say it again, 202-224-3121, 202-225-3121. And, I got to tell you, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. If Hassan had been a Christian male, a white Christian male, who was, I don't know, however you want to phrase it, right to life or God forbid, whatever, they would have called it a terrorist attack. They would have said, it really is a sin for the victims of the first Fort Hood shooting, that they don't get the recognition. They don't get the Purple Heart, which leads to benefits. They don't get the health benefits, the money, the pension that they would get if the government would simply reclassify Nidal Hassan's attack to what it was, an act of jihad. He shouted Allah Akbar. And these people that the president promised them he would take care of them, promised them, they are betrayed. They feel betrayed. It's what Sergeant Alonzo Lunsford said to us. It's what the female police hero who helped bring down Hassan that day cried about on ABC TV, that they feel betrayed by the President of the United States. And what other word can you use? That is unfortunate to describe what he did to those brave men and women, and is still doing to them, denying them their benefits and their money, and their recognition. On the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen, on Newsmax Television.